Hi. In this episode, I want to talk to you about money. Our use of money says a lot about our relationship with God. Jesus clearly teaches that how we use money demonstrates the quality of our spiritual life. Because in Luke chapter 16 verse 11, it's reported that Jesus said, "If you are untrustworthy with worldly wealth, who will trust you with the riches, the true riches of heaven?" I gather that from that statement, Jesus is saying, I certainly wouldn't trust you with the true riches of heaven if you are untrustworthy in the way you use worldly wealth. And what does Jesus mean by the true riches of heaven? He means the benefits, the blessings that flow from being in a reconciled relationship with God through faith in Jesus, because Jesus connects us with God. And he's saying that if we estimate that relationship as having a value that far exceeds what money can buy, then that will influence the choices and decisions we make about how we use wealth and money, how we invest and divest money. And that's what Jesus wants us to understand as his followers. To understand that he doesn't hate money, but he wants us to use money in ways that show that it's a useful resource that we can wisely use for good purposes. And that our relationship with him and the value we place on that will guide our use of money. That the riches we enjoy from heaven will guide how we use our worldly wealth. And he actually wants his disciples to be good money managers, to use it strategically for purposes that please him. So in his story on the talents, where different talents and resources are distributed, he congratulates one of his servants as having done very well. He says, "Well done, good and faithful servant. You've been faithful with the few things, the few resources and assets I gave you, and I will put you in charge of many things. Come share your master's happiness." So we've got to ask ourselves, what pleases Jesus in the way we use money? And of course, it's using it to uphold and promote what he believes is important, what he values. And of course, we know what pleases the heart of God. It is loving our neighbor. So one of the primary purposes and use of money must be for the benefit of others, to bless them and to help them in ways that God has helped us too. That makes Jesus happy. And it's not that he wants our money. He doesn't need our money. He doesn't want our money to control us. He doesn't want us to be used by money, but for us to use the money. And he knows that money and the love of it can compete for our attachment and affection. And that's why he says that we must choose, ultimately, who we love more, who we are serving. He said, no one can serve two masters. Either he will hate the one and love the other, or he will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money. Meaning, you either try to make God in the service of your money, or you're making money in the service of God. Crown Ministries produced a booklet called Money Matters, where they provided a really unusual but helpful illustration of this point. They said during the Crusades of the 12th century, the Crusaders hired mercenaries to fight their war with them and for them. And because it was a religious war, the Crusaders required that the mercenaries were baptized before they went out to fight. But mercenaries, being soldiers who fight just for money, took their swords and held them up while they were being baptized. And in a sense were saying, I might be getting baptized, but my sword isn't. My sword is not under the control of Jesus Christ. It's under the control of my arm. They claimed an independence for the way they use their weapons. And sadly, the point of that illustration is that's the way sometimes people become Christians, and their connection with God and their money. They, in a sense, holding their wallet out or their purse out of the water of baptism and saying, well, Jesus may be the Lord, but he's not the Lord of my wallet or my purse. He has no authority to really ultimately teach me or to tell me as to how I will use my money. And that means in the end, we're really using our money to serve our own happiness, not to make Jesus happy. He doesn't want or need our money to get hold of it. He just doesn't want our money to get hold of us. It's more that Jesus wants what's best for us, and he knows what's best for us is when we use money to bring the most happiness to others as a demonstration of our love for them and our concern for their welfare. And in that way, we're expressing our love for God. We need to invest our money for the values and the purposes of the kingdom, and that's not easy. That means sacrifice, due diligence, making informed choices, making wise and thoughtful choices. But it all starts with asking ourselves, do we want to please Christ with the way we use our money? Do we want to enter into the joy of his happiness? That's a great question to ask when it comes to money. Who are we trying to make happy? Ourselves only? Or are we trying to make our master happy and even bring much happiness to many others as well? I think that's a great way to approach money. Well, we'll look at this again next week, explore a bit more about money and what it means to be a Christian in the way we use money. Thanks for listening.